Ukrainians bracing for more attacks from Russian forces, as reports are that Russian troops are headed as close as 20 miles out from Kyiv, tanks and other vehicles making their way to the capital city.
China refused to call this an invasion.
Some extremely concerning reports about Russian troops within 20 miles of the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. It comes as last hour there were 2 large explosions in the Ukrainian capital. We are still tracking down exactly what happened. There are conflicting reports. Some say it was a Russian plane shot down. Others say a Ukrainian plane. Some say a cruise missile. In the fog of war, sometimes this information can get quite messy. So we're going to hold off on reporting exactly what it was. But it appears that Ukrainian or even possibly Russian air defense shot down something that was flying over the Ukrainian capital. And there are some images coming out from the ground of a residential apartment building that received some of the shrapnel and damage from whatever was shot out of the sky. This does come as missiles have targeted Kyiv tonight. A number of times we've heard those explosions in the distance, and we do know there were a number of battles taking place today, not only on the outskirts of this city, but the outskirts of many cities across the country of Ukraine. Following this Russian invasion, Russian forces and Ukrainian soldiers were engaged in heavy fighting, especially in the second largest city of Kharkiv. This is in the northeastern part of Ukraine, but some significant escalation. And as you note, the reports of Russian troops within 20 miles of the capital city are extremely concerning because it aligns with the Western intelligence analysis that indicates Kyiv could be the next target.
I'm confused though.
They could try to choke off the city.
How the hell do you have American news stations over there when it's a problem with Western culture?
Sort of a hybrid war situation where you see
Y'all better wake up
in some sort of
to this foolishness.
warfare, trying to cut off those Russian troops as they try to move in.
It's something bigger that's taking place.
Up to 10,000 weapons were given out to civilians, according to.
But I want you to hear what's going to come up next.
Fight off any sort of Russian invasion into the city. Back to you.
Trey, thank you so much.
Here we go.
So what is our most serious rival? China. Think of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Did Xi get a heads up at the Olympics? Did he ask Vladimir to wait until after the Olympics? Did he said would continue to buy oil during that Olympic meeting? Well, for starters, China refuses to even call this an invasion. That's pretty telling. And they're blaming the United States for ramping up tensions in the region.
Whoa.
China's assistant foreign minister is saying the U.S. has been fueling the flame, fanning up the flame. How do they want to put out the fire? Joining me now is Mike Pillsbury, director of the Center on Chinese Strategy at Hudson, author of The 100-Year...
If China's not back in the United States, what you think gonna happen?
Author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War. Mike, let's start with you.
Taiwan is next.
Gordon, for the last 48 hours. China, China, China. It is critical, and so few people are talking about it. Only a couple of questions touched on this in President Biden's press conference today.
Because they all work together. All those lizards was in the press conference.
Well, as you know, Laura, only in the last few days have the American media and our Congress dropped the ball on the China threat. President Trump was the first, obviously, then Joe Biden embraced the Trump strategy toward China. Frequently, President Biden said China was the main threat, the main competition. All that seems to be out the window, and obviously...
This right here took place at the Winter Olympics. They joined in hands.
The two tigers fight, to use a Chinese proverb. Certainly in terms of the economy of China.
That's why Russia not concerned with no sanctions.
Bigger than the economy of Russia. So that means in terms of protecting Putin's economy, loans, investment, purchasing more Russian energy products, other kinds of products, China's in a position to really support Putin as he faces these sanctions. The other thing I'm worried about is that China's drawing lessons from this about if they were to invade Taiwan, the level of sanctions and punishment they would get, if it's like what Biden has done about Putin in Ukraine, it'd be very light sanctions that China could afford. So we're likely to see the increasing chances of a war with China attacking Taiwan in the next 2 or 3 years. While Putin
how about the next few months?
The size of the Chinese economy. These are both very dangerous trends, I think, Laura.
Richard Haas, Gordon, who's the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, He wrote in the New York Times today that the Biden administration should step up its private diplomacy with China, highlighting the economic and strategic risks, including financial punishment and increasing anti-China sentiment in the West. Gordon, talk about, trying to close the barn door after the horse already ran out. Is this approach going to drive a wedge between China and Russia to tell Xi, you should really think about this?
No.
Is it a little late for that?
Too late. And this is why the Biden administration ain't talking about this.
February 4th meeting between Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, they issued that very long communique. They talked about the no limits partnership. But more important, they announced $117.5 billion in new oil and gas deals. And just a couple days ago, they announced the sale of 100 million metric tons of Russian coal. So China's made it very clear that they are financing the war against Ukraine. And the United States warned China not to do this on February 3. They did it anyway in Beijing. And so I think the United States needs to impose those harsh sanctions, not just on the Russians, but also the Chinese.
What did Donald Trump tell you if Biden got in office? You'd be talking Chinese.
And his proposals are ludicrous.
Taiwan is next. Listen, Russia and China are hand in hand. America is being systematically destroyed from the inside out by your Democrats, which is the draconian race. If I can't have control of these people because of what's happening in the cosmos, there will be no more control. If I can't have control of these people, I want total chaos on the planet in our last days. Time is their enemy, not ours, my people. I value. Wake up.